Fox News alert for you now because the White House just releasing its final report on the president's economic stimulus plan, put into effect 5 years ago today. The report claims that the Recovery Act saved millions of jobs and increased U.S. GDP, enough to keep us out of a double-dip recession. But critics point to the huge price tag and claim the so-called shovel-ready jobs ended up not really being that shovel-ready. Even the president seemed to not agree with his own plan, at one point laughing about it. Remember this?
I'm sure that when you implemented the Recovery Act, your staff briefed you on many of the challenges of the permitting process and the impact on putting Americans back to work. And that's exactly what we see in American business as well.
Shovel-ready was not as shovel-ready as we expected.
Well, Julie Roginski is a former political advisor to Democratic New Jersey Senator Frank Lautenberg and a Fox News contributor. Didi Banki is a former aide in the Bush White House and a Republican political strategist. And they're my guests today.
Hi.
All right, so hard to believe it's been 5 years since the stimulus passed. The unemployment rate has gotten a little bit better, but we're still having millions of Americans who don't have jobs. And if you look at the stats, Didi, you find out that some of these jobs created from the stimulus, the Recovery Act, cost a fortune for one job.
Absolutely. This was the worst bang for the buck ever. I mean, I have to tell you, Gretchen, I mean, for the president to say, for once I agree with him when he said, yeah, I guess we weren't shovel ready, which is true, because we've lost so much money. I mean, we are trillions of dollars in debt now because of the stimulus that did not work. I mean, think about it. We spent $1.9 million on international ant research. We also spent $800,000 on a dance draw, which was a Dance Draw Active program on the internet. Really? That's why we're in debt, and that's why we're in an economic mess.
Well, Julie, did the administration forget that the president had that little snippet on the video that we just showed where he actually kind of made fun of his own project?
Well, look, I mean, there are projects, like including projects in New York, like the Second Avenue subway, for example, that are stimulus projects, which have been in the works for 50 years. We're finally getting them. Look, was the stimulus as effective as it could have been? No, because I think it wasn't as large as it should have been. I mean, other people disagree with this.
So it should have been more than $800 billion?
I believe that, yes, and I think that essentially that it was not allocated properly. We should not have had these very small tax breaks. What we should have done is put more into infrastructure. Other people disagree with me. But look, you have people like Mark Sandy from Moody's, for example, who's a former advisor to John McCain, certainly not a liberal Democrat, who agrees, as well as other economists, that 2.5 million jobs are either saved or created because of the stimulus. They contributed to GDP growth, and that's something that most economists agree with, not the partisan ones, but the ones that actually look at the
I just find it interesting about how 5 years has sort of changed the messaging of the whole thing. Because I remember back when it started coming out that, like, one job cost $50,000, that, you know, the stimulus was the new S word.
Yeah, I mean, in summer of recovery, and that's never happened, Gretchen and Julie. I mean, you know, and I agree with you. It has not been allocated properly. There was an expensive bevy of boondoggles. All this wasted money. Seriously, all this wasted money that has gone nowhere. I mean, what do you see for it? The government shouldn't be so involved.
But you know what I love? You have people like John Boehner, Eric Cantor, Paul Ryan, the entire Republican leadership who decried the stimulus continue to do that, and yet took credit at every turn for the shovel-ready projects in their own district. Of course there were. Wait a second. I'll name one right now that Eric Cantor was very, very much pushing. Some sort of like railroad from Washington to Richmond. You have people like John. You have people like Paul Ryan who are talking about thousands of jobs that were created because of green jobs.
You both have good points, but I think I'm going to remember bevy of boondoggles. Yes. Okay, ABC reporter Jonathan Karl coming under fire for a comment he made about Texas Senator Ted Cruz over the weekend about how well he's liked or not liked within his own party. Listen to this.
I'll tell you, Ted Cruz is so hated among his Republicans now, more so than even during the shutdown, that at that Tuesday lunch they have every Tuesday, he's going to need a food taster.
Food taster? Didi, do you agree with this? Is he hated within the Republican Party?
Well, I think Jonathan Karl is right with some people. I will give him credit for that. However, I don't think Ted Cruz cares. I mean, I think, you know, whenever you want to do the right thing, you don't care about that. You care about the mission, and if people don't like it, so be it. And I actually know that Ted is Julie's favorite Republican.
100%. Go, Ted, go. Keep going. Because Ted Cruz has completely put Mitch McConnell's primary race in disarray by making Mitch McConnell vote on the stimulus, which he apparently was for before he was against. You have people like John McCain retweeting a Wall Street Journal editorial board saying this is why we're in the minority because of people like Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz has done more for the Democratic Party than anybody else, including the Democrats.
Whenever you make progress, and many times in history, the people who were the most successful were they rattled the cages. That's just the way it is. So he is
rattling,
making
Ted Cruz.
he's making progress. No, he's doing a good job. He really is.
He certainly is.
Yeah, I love Ted.
Keep going.
Ted.
Next time he's on the show, we'll ask him if he has employed a food taster.
He is my favorite Republican. You can tell him that.
Colchester.
Julie and Dee Dee, great to see you on a
Thank
Monday.
you.
Thanks.